This is my first game in the round 1 of playoffs, and since I just had my record stolen away from me of having the fastest sweep in the league, I decided that I wanted to just go for a chilling reception turn 1 and try and get a sweep with Bolt Beaks, and I was hoping I could wrap this up in 7 games. What ends up happening may shock you. Click the link to read more. We immediately get the Will-O-Wisp. I'm protected from it by chilling receptioning into my Arctos ult, and I'm ready to sweep. But instead, he protects, and yeah, no longer can get the record. Bolt Beak doesn't even matter because it still survives with 3%. And so not getting the sweep again, I get burnt, and it's just not going my game. I end up stomping, tantruming, hoping to maybe catch a switch in. Dugtrio comes out, I go into my Lando, because it's just such a great counter, and he predicts that and double switches into the Skarmory. I try to U-turn, get some good positioning, and that's when we discovered that Skarmory is Rocky Helmet. So he body presses into my Moth, and now I'm looking good to just rip a discharge. It hits his entire team except the Dugtrio, so I had to be very careful. And I go for a second discharge, and he calls it out and goes into the Dugtrio. I go back into my Lando, and he goes for another Earthquake, and I think I take this opportunity to set up some rocks, right? He goes to the Body Slam, I get paralyzed, I get my rocks up, and then he goes into the Skarm to defog. Something I had considered for this matchup was doing Stealth Rocks with Landorus to bait out Skarmory, and then being like a Swords Dance Rock Polish set, and just Earthquaking through his whole team. But, you know, then there's a Skarmory in front of me. So I was thinking, like, maybe we could put Smackdown in there, and that would have been cool. But that's what the plan was. I was considering it. We end up U-turning, taking more Rocky Helmet chip, but I considered it worth it to safely get my Iron Moth in, and then Flamethrowering, because it hurts almost the entire team, except for the Pex, who's now very weakened. We go into the Galvantula off the KO. I get my Landorus out, but I don't have removal on this team, and I get punished for it pretty quickly, you'll see. So what I end up doing is getting another chilling reception off, managing to barely survive the Terra Bug Buzz, and I go into my Arctos ult, who I had as White Herb, so that I can take the Sticky Webs. And then I'm able to throw off a Stomping Tantrum. I don't know what I was thinking. Honestly, just a total lapse in judgment on move selection there. I was kind of expecting the Dugtrio to come out, I guess. Or maybe the Pex. I don't know what the hell I was thinking, but I should have just Bolt Beaked and KO'd the Galvantula, because now I'm down a turn of snow, and I have to switch out my fucking Arctos ult. Or at least so I thought. I was worried about priority. I thought it might have Bullet Punch or something. I didn't really remember its move pool. So I pull it out, and he just ended up Iron Heading. So I could have Stomping Tantrumed and gotten the KO and probably would have won the game. But instead I make a switch, and just those 2 bad turns in a row end up costing me this game, as despite being up 6-3, I am not able to pull it together in the face of this Pheromosa, who's just hit and run tactics, ends up sniping my Breloom on the switch with the triple axle, and it's getting these speed boosts and these defense boosts. I don't have priority on my team. I think I can boost up with agility to be faster, but I forgot about the beast boost speed, so he's still faster even after my agility, and gets another Throat Chop off, KOing my Mega Metagross on the turn I tried to Zen Headbutt. And now we're just looking so bad. I'm scarfed up, but I'm under webs. He ends up U-turning. And it's just nasty. I got the scarf, but webbed up Moth, spamming Flamethrowers. Dugtrio comes out, Earthquakes, KOs. My chat is making cum jokes. Pheromosa comes out, hits a big U-turn, I think, something like that. What is it, close combat? Yeah. Pheromosa is actually faster than my Slush Rush Arctos ult because of those Sticky Webs. That's how important they were to this game. And the U-turn gets a giant KO on the Slowking. Honestly impressed, because that was a Fizz-Def Slowking. Just a testament to the power of Pheromosa, as Dugtrio is able to KO my Landorus. Yeah, so basically, I made 2 bad turns in a row, and that cost me the game. And you'll see that in this game, there's no bad turns, right? I switch in a Rocky Helmet onto my Landorus, and that makes a huge difference. I decide to try and use the Iron Moth in front of the Sableye to prevent me from getting Will-O-Wisp. But he calls out my U-turn, and I know he's going to Wisp, so I go into someone who doesn't care, which is Slowking, who's not a physical attacker, who has leftover recovery, doesn't care about the burns. and we go back into the Arctozolt. Expecting to protect, I go for a substitute. Now he can't Will-O-Wisp me. He also doesn't have Prankster anymore, so I really didn't care about the Will-O-Wisp. We get a Bolt Beak, it doesn't KO. He turns off my Slush Rush with his Sunny Day, but I still have the substitute up, which allows me to safely KO the Dugtrio, even if it was Sash, for example. He does get the Tangling Hair. I did change out Life Orb, replacing the White Herb because I didn't want to get a KO staying on like 1% again. So I wanted that little extra damage boost to help with my sweeping. Charizard in the Sun is super scary. Flare Blitz still does 33% to a max defense Intimidate Landorus. And Charizard kind of just gets wiped from Flare Blitz chip, from Rocky Helmet chip, and then just U-turning. Yeah, we got rid of the Charizard easy peasy. Now we got Scarf Moth on the field, who's super, super dangerous now. Super dangerous. Rocks are up, chipping away at Pheromosa every time it comes on the field. Sableye super low on health. And Pex is stalling out the game. So I know his tendency to stall out the game with Pex when it starts looking bad for him. So I go into my Metagross, who is not immune to the knockoff. It doesn't really care. Doesn't care about a Toxic from Toxapex. I do worry about Scald, but I know that my opponent doesn't have a history of running Scald. So I pull out Metagross and I start boosting with Agility. And at that point, I just start sweeping. Metagross. Okay. Yeah, we just start sweeping with Zen Headbutts. And that's game. That was murder. Haymaker said in the chat, vet move. I'm guessing in reference to name bad word calling out my Zen Headbutt with a dark type. So, changes we made for this game. I want to say none. I think I made no changes. Yeah, I was just like, fuck it, we ball. That worked so well. I got a 6-0 sweep. Let's go for more. I tried to just... Oh, I remember now. I made this Iron Moth Choice Specs. That's the change. I made a Choice Specs and Overheat and Flamethrower. But instead of Flamethrower, it's Flame Charge because I messed up while editing. So now in this position where I want to click a Specs Flamethrower, I end up having to click Overheat and missing. So I get no sort of chip and just a bad position. Let's rewind. It was your agility calling to protect. Thank you. I appreciate calling out my vet moves. Metagross goes for Zen Headbutt, doing a colossal amount of damage, taking Galvantula down to his Focus Sash, and I'm able to just clean that up with the Bullet Punch very smoothly. Very smoothly, if I say so myself. With the Iron Moth getting taunted, but it doesn't matter because it's a Specs U-turn set. Discharge, Oko's the Zard, without question. Goes into Sableye. I want to rip another Discharge, but he's smart enough to go into the Dugtrio. I kind of expected that, but I have such a good position that I don't really care. And if I can get any sort of damage down on anyone, that's fine by me. Go into the Lando. The Dugtrio ain't got nothing for me. He really should have been like Terra Ice, Terra Blast. If Dugtrio gets Terra Blast, that would have been able to snipe my Landorus on many occasions, and that would have done very well for him. Instead, I'm able to go into the Metagross and Bullet Punch, which I end up getting Tangling Hair slowing me down, but I don't care. Because I got Bullet Punch. So he goes to the Pheromosa, who I know is Throat Chop, so I end up just giving him some Rocky Helmet chip with Lando and just Intimidate dropping him. What I want to do is Intimidate cycle him. I have 2 Intimidate Pokemon, so I can just keep switching in and out and bottom out his attack stat super quickly. But he goes Pex. So I start boosting. And I start bulking up. I decide to Earthquake here, I think. No, I go for another bulk up on the Baneful Bunker. So we've done that like thrice in the series. And get a 2 times bulked up Hitmontop with Earthquake. Still scared of Sableye, so I think I go Iron Moth and just start clicking Specs Discharge. Don't know why. That seems like a bad decision. Oh, because I don't have Flamethrower. Yeah, I have Flame Charge. In this position, I would have loved to be clicking Flamethrower, but I didn't have it, so I was just clicking Discharge instead. Holy shit. GG's, we get the paralysis. That's game, fellas. Woo-wee!